Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into another dose of your weekly rundown. Of course, joined in with me as always, my co-host all the way from the U, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
Good, man. How you doing today? A little late, couple technical difficulties, but we are here.
Yeah, we almost didn't have a live show for you guys. We're gonna do it the old-fashioned way, but Kayson came through last minute as we was dealing with it, and we got it done for you guys, man. We are here, we are live, and we are live with that breaking news, because usually we start off with some NFL football, but we got breaking news on the NBA side. That's why it's got to be up there for the best league in the world. From Shams Charania of The Athletic, Giannis Antetokounmpo says he is signing a contract extension with the Milwaukee Bucks. The two-time MVP will sign a 5-year, $228.2 million supermax extension with the franchise, the largest deal in NBA history. Giannis went on to confirm this himself on his Instagram, and that deal includes an opt-out clause in 2025, and he is now guaranteed $256 million over the next 6 seasons. So what can we say here? It's like he could say it's his home. He wanted to be here the whole time. This was offered to him a while ago. So there was something that had to incentivize him to finally want to sign this. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe Milwaukee's got something up their sleeves. I think we should monitor that situation with James Harden in Houston, and we'll get into that a lot more later. But just to bring it up a little bit now, the Milwaukee Bucks apparently are one of the teams on his trade destination list. So, I mean, they got the talent. They've been the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference 2 years in a row, had the best record in the NBA 2 years in a row. Clearly, they showed as far as a regular season goes, they can win and win at a high level. I just want to know exactly why now instead of early on.
I think for most people, at least how we've seen with these contract situations, that I guess people like to take their time. It's a big decision. It's, I guess, 4 more years because it's a contract extension. So I think maybe he just wanted to take his time, realize what he really wanted to do, especially being a big player like he is. There's a lot of options out there for him, whether it's going somewhere else, signing a shorter deal, just everything going on. You know, sometimes making life decisions, you just need more time. I mean, you'd probably be happy that he didn't do like KD or some of these other players did and wait until the summer into free agency, because he really could have took longer if you really think about it. So, and then he had until the 21st or something to sign the deal. So I think it's late, but you know, big decisions like this, it's going to be the next 5 years of his life, and I guess you kind of don't know how things are going to work out and stuff. So it's a big decision. You know, you kind of got to take your time. If you want to be honest, I'm surprised he didn't take longer.
No, I hear you. I thought this was going to drag out. I thought he wasn't going to. I personally felt like he wasn't going to sign it all. We were going to get to see him let this thing roll out in another big time free agency for one of the superstars in the league, like we got to see with LeBron and then KD. Unfortunately, we don't get to see it though. But I will say this, and I talked to you about this earlier in the day. It was weird because Jay Williams, who works for ESPN, former point guard for the Duke Blue Devils, he was on ESPN radio about an hour before this news broke, and he was saying, based on what he had heard, he believed that Giannis was going to sign the supermax, which ended up happening. But then he went on to say, if they don't make the NBA finals, that there's going to be some type of, whether it's a clause or a handshake agreement, that he's allowed to just leave. He can get out of there. So that's something interesting. I want to know more about that. Maybe if that was just his personal opinion or if he really heard something. But I think that's something that's really interesting to me, especially with all the rumors that were flying around about where he could end up before this happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think that's kind of hard to see. I don't know if they're gonna sign this deal and be like, okay, we got a quote unquote handshake agreement. If that's the case, I guess you could have maybe waited into the summer for that, because it would be the same thing. You can get maybe a sign and trade for him. So that's interesting. I guess we don't know too much about that. Obviously, Jay Will probably knows more than we do, but I don't. I think that's kind of hard to see. I think even in his post earlier, he said that he's there to stay for 5 years. For him to say all that and only have like a handshake agreement would be kind of crazy for him. And he'll kind of still take the same backlash that he would have took if he didn't sign the deal and just left in the summer. So I think it's kind of maybe the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there could be Jay Williams just talking to talk too. You know, we don't know, but I thought it was very interesting that he went out on a limb there and brought that up. It was very weird that to me that he said it and then like an hour later it ended up happening. So maybe it does have legs to it. Who knows? I want to get to football though. Before we get back to the NBA, we do got a little bit of football to talk. There was an amazing Monday night game on last night between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns, AFC North divisional rivals. The history between those two teams is crazy too. If you don't know, the Baltimore Ravens used to be the Cleveland Browns and then moved over to Baltimore and went on to gain prominence that Cleveland had always wanted, just in a whole different city. This game was crazy from start to finish. Lamar Jackson goes in. They're up big. They're up not big, but they're up convincingly on the Cleveland Browns because Lamar's out there doing what he does. He's doing things that quarterbacks just can't do with his legs and whatnot. Then he gets a cramp. So he comes out he comes out the game. And kudos to Baker Mayfield, man. I've been coming at Baker Mayfield in personal conversations for a while now as far as him not living up to what he was billed to be as the number one overall pick, Heisman winner and whatnot. He's been showing improvement the last couple weeks. He went out there and balled, especially when Lamar came out the game. He got them back in it. They went for the 2-point conversion, got it. So now that put them closer in the game. They ended up going up in this game over the Ravens. They got Trace McSorley in there at quarterback for the Ravens because Lamar is out of the game. I don't know if you got a chance to see the video when he's like running to the locker room. He says he didn't pull a Paul Pierce. I want to see a little more there because he kind of waved somebody off when they were opening the door, like get out the way. But he says he didn't pull a Paul Pierce. He said he really was cramping and whatnot. I had IVs and all that. Okay, I'm gonna take him for his word. But that was interesting. But he comes out. Trace McSorley gets hit hard. Looked like a knee injury. So he's got to come out the game. So everybody's saying, what are the Ravens gonna do? Who's gonna play quarterback now? Lamar comes back out of the locker room. Comes in. It's fourth down. I think 4th and 5. He throws a touchdown, a 35-yard touchdown pass to Hollywood Brown on 4th and 5. Hollywood Brown had been missing catches for a little bit now. So after he had that outburst a couple weeks ago because he wasn't happy about not getting enough targets. And he just was not playing well. Even especially this specific game, he missed two targets. So he catches this bomb from Lamar Jackson on 4th down, takes it to the house. So that's crazy in itself because of what I just said about Hollywood Brown. But also the thing about Lamar Jackson, we talk about, all right, he's amazing with his legs, but when it's time for him to step up in big time situations when they're behind and whatnot, we need to see him throw the football. So he does it. And then the Cleveland Browns, with short time left on the clock, they come back and they score to tie the game. So now again, Lamar Jackson is in this situation where you need him to step up and make plays with his arm. And what does he do? He does it. He gets a couple first downs to his tight end, clocks it, and then Justin Tucker goes out and seals the game with a clutch field goal to win it. Overall, this was just an amazing game between both teams. The Cleveland Browns have shown an immense improvement throughout the season because they weren't that hot. And Baker Mayfield wasn't playing that great either. Even when they started winning, they were winning in spite of him. Now he's the Stefanski and the rest of that offensive staff over there has really found a nice game plan for him, and he's playing well. I don't know what the future of these two teams hold as far as playoffs go this season. I'm banking on the Ravens getting in based on their schedule. But, man, if you missed that game last night, you really missed a doozy.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, it was just a great game overall. I mean, like you say, he said he didn't pull a Paul Pierce, but there's a lot of people saying there's might have a couple other things that happened to him. I mean, when you catch a cramp sometimes, I guess sometimes you can run it in. But you see, like, Braun really couldn't run on it. So to see him run all the way in the back, it's kind of what people was like, maybe it wasn't a cramp. But like you said, it was just a great game overall. I think the Browns are interesting because their season kind of picked up after Odell went down. I know there was a lot of issues with them saying about like Odell asking for more touches and things like that. But it seems that Baker Mayfield has just played better kind of without Odell Beckham Jr. in there. So I think that's kind of interesting, and I think the writing's kind of on the wall there for maybe him not to return. So I think, like you said, I expect the Browns the Ravens to definitely get in, and then you just have to go from there.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation on that part too. This because that was one of the things I was killing Baker for. You have this all-world talent in Odell Beckham Jr. and you're just not getting it done. Those guys never really had a chance to. When I don't even want to say had a chance, they just never really got in tune with each other. Just there was no chemistry there between those guys. And the way he's playing right now, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to get rid of Odell. The only thing that is kind of tough on the Browns side of things is Odell's now dealt with an injury 2 years in a row or a couple years in a row now. So the trade, I obviously know when healthy the talent that Odell Beckham Jr. is, but with the last couple of years, him always having these season-ending injuries or an injury that derails his season, the compensation that you're going to get back for Odell Beckham Jr. isn't something that you expect to be like a haul that, you would have expected early on, like in the case when he was traded from the Giants.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it could depend on how many years he has left on that contract.
I want to say 2 more.
So it could depend. I think teams are still. I thought he was a free agent next summer, to be honest, but I think teams will still take him just off his name and like you said, just kind of
could be next summer.
They just kind of never clicked over there. So I think it might be a case where like some teams would be like, he just didn't click with the Browns. You saw he was able to do with the Giants. You go to the Browns. It just didn't work over there. So I think some people like the Patriots to take him and be like, if we get him in our system, we probably definitely can get him back to the old Odell that he was before. So
man, there's a couple teams. There's a couple teams that could use this. Sir, Houston. Houston? We talked all about Houston and their receiver problems. I mean, Will Fuller just got suspended for the rest of the season because of PED use, and all their other top receivers are out right now for different reasons. So they don't really have a go-to guy for Deshaun Watson. That's why they have all the problems they have. The Rams could certainly use him at wide receiver. I mean, you mentioned the Patriots. His former team, the New York Giants. The New York Giants don't have a number 1 wide receiver right now. They got some nice talent over there, but they do not have a number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm saying, like, there's some teams over there that could use him.
Yeah. So there's some teams who can use them. They just blame it. They're gonna blame it on. Well, he might blame it on the Browns system and just never connecting with Baker Mayfield over there. You see how they looked without him. So it just might have been a thing where it just didn't work out for him over there. But based off his talent and what you've seen from him before, teams are definitely gonna look at him and be like, as long as we get him back in the right situation, that he'll be good and we can get him back to where he was before. So I don't think it kills his value too much. Now in the trade market, teams will probably still maybe try to not give up as much, but I think teams would definitely still want him. So the Browns may have a little leverage if they're able to kind of play teams against each other.
Yeah, 100%. So I want to move over to the NFC East of things. The Giants, who were first place in the NFC East, especially after a big-time upset over the Seattle Seahawks with their backup quarterback, Colt McCoy. They go over to Arizona to play the Cardinals with Kyler Murray and those guys over there. Bring back Daniel Jones' first game back from the hamstring injury. Just never got into a rhythm. I mean, you didn't talk about the defense. The defense looked good early on. They got in a situation where Daniel Jones fumbled the ball, so the Cardinals get the ball in the red zone area. They go 4 straight downs and can't score because the defense goes out there and does their thing. The problem is when you constantly have one side of the ball continuously on the field for most of the game, they're not going to be able to continue the level of play that they have on the field. So the defense ended up faltering because they kept having to come back on the field and back on the field and back on the field again. Now on the offensive side of things for the Giants, didn't really for the most part, they just couldn't click at all. I think honestly that comes down to Daniel Jones should have never been in that game. Daniel Jones is a little limited in what he can do right now. I think he's great because, not to say he's a great quarterback. I think that still is yet to be answered. But he shows great things when he's able to run the ball. We didn't exactly get to see that with him because of the hamstring injury. And it was clear, especially at the end of the game, that the hamstring injury was definitely bothering him. So a lot of times nothing was really opening up. It definitely exposed them a little bit too in the passing game side of things, because they were beating up on these teams with all the rushing attacks and what they were doing on the ground. They didn't stick to the run until the second half, which is when they finally scored with Wayne Gallman and those guys. But so they got exposed, and then Daniel Jones just couldn't really play to his strengths because he couldn't do the things that he does with the hamstring injury. And honestly, like I said, he should have never been in this game. Now the Giants were supposed to play a regular time game against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. That got flexed to Sunday night. So they have a primetime game against the Cleveland Browns. Like we just talked about how amazing a game the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens played. Now you might have set back, and it really looks like you did. You might have set back Daniel Jones with the hamstring injury by putting him out there, because at the end of the game, he had to limp off the field and Colt McCoy had to come in. So now, how do you expect this team to move forward with an injured quarterback? Because Colt McCoy is a backup quarterback. Backup quarterbacks, they're good. They're average. That's what he is. Even in the game that they won against Seattle, he didn't do anything special. He did what he had to do. So, whether it's him or whether it's an injured Daniel Jones, how do you expect to get over the hump and try and win this game, win this division with what Washington's doing right now? Because from the looks of it, because Washington was able to win, and we'll talk a little bit about them too. From the looks of it, the Giants are going to get more wins than the Washington football team. So they're going to have to end with the same record, and they'll have the tiebreaker to get ahead of them. So exactly how do you get that done with these circumstances against you?
Well, like you said, baby Daniel Jones shouldn't have been out there. So I think you kind of just go with Colt McCoy again. Like you said, he's a backup quarterback, and they kind of just, get the job done. So you're just going to have to hope that he can still get the job done, kind of like he did 2 weeks ago, and it can just hold down the fort. Maybe until Daniel Jones can get 100% healthy, and then you kind of just go from there. Because obviously putting Daniel Jones out there when he's not 100% healthy, like you said, just limits him to do just the things that kind of make him great, to be able to move as much and things like that. So I think you kind of just go with the healthy quarterback. The like you say, he's a solid quarterback. So you just put him in there and just hope that the defense can hold things down, and then the rest of the team can kind of hold it down, and he can just be like a serviceable quarterback until you can get Daniel Jones back.
But we don't even know what they're gonna do. There's a chance Daniel Jones might play in this game. We don't know what they might roll Daniel Jones out for the rest of the season. Try and tell him to get a little Eli in his blood and tough it out.
But I think that's the question though. The question is, should you play him or should you not?
At this point, I don't know. I mean, it begs the question: is an injured Daniel Jones better than Colt McCoy? Because we know a healthy Daniel Jones is better than Colt McCoy. But I mean, he already had his issues as far as making progressions and seeing what was on the field at the right time. But his legs would always bail him out of certain things. That's not there anymore. So that which led to the fumbling issues against Arizona.
Yeah, but that's why I said it'd probably hurt them more than it helped them if he's not out there 100% healthy and able to do the things that he does. So I would just go with the healthy quarterback. And like I said, he's shown that he can hold it down a little bit a few weeks ago. And you just hope that he'll be able to hold it down. He's a backup quarterback. That's kind of what you have him for situations like this. And you kind of just have to figure it out from there, because you don't want Daniel Jones to go out there. And I think Dre just said it too in the chat. Shout out to you, Dre. You don't want him to get hurt more. So, you just go with the healthy quarterback, and then if he can get back in time, you just put him out there.
Yeah, I hear that. I definitely hear that. I agree with Dre as well. But on the Washington side of things, number one, remember that game that the Giants won last season against Washington, and everybody was all up in arms, and the whole time we're just like, this is the one game that you're just like, some people like root for a tank. Not a lot of times, not everybody is rooting for a tank. I think majority of Giants fans were rooting for the Giants to lose that game against Washington last season, because the number 2 overall pick was clearly going to be Chase Young, and the Washington football team took Chase Young, and they have a very good defense that is led by Chase Young. how worth it was it for you to win that game? Number one, because he is leading this along with Alex Smith too, and we'll get to Alex Smith, but he is leading the Washington football team to a divisional title, and that could have been something that could have worked out in the Giants' hands.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we talked about it on here, I think, or maybe we talked about it in private when that happened. But who knows how worth it was for them to win the game? Like you said, some people don't really believe in tanking in football, but sometimes it might work out for you. So I don't know. Like you said, it would have been great to have them, and we were kind of rooting for the Giants to get them. But in the same case, though, we're talking about it right now. The Giants kind of have the same chance to win the division too. So like, I guess if you look at it that way, maybe with him, they would have like a greater chance to win it. But I guess they're still in a great spot too, because they're kind of in the same spot Washington is right now, if you think about it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I would pick the Giants to beat the Browns if he wasn't hurt, because the Giants do things that really hurt the Browns. Like, the Browns were getting killed when Lamar was in at quarterback because they just really couldn't stop any of the Ravens' rushing attack. The Giants have been very good with their rushing attack, especially with what Daniel Jones could do at the quarterback position. But if he's hurt, then that's kind of a moot point. So I'm going from saying I could see them winning it to, man, I don't know about that one. But as far as like Washington goes as well, I'm not going to say it's completely over for the Giants' title hopes. It's not NFC East title hopes. It's not looking great right now. But one of the other reasons why Washington was playing so well, we talked last week about how they upset the Pittsburgh Steelers. One of the reasons why they were playing so well was because after Kyle Allen got hurt, they inserted Alex Smith. And Alex Smith, the veteran quarterback that he is, former number 1 overall pick, played in an NFC championship, did some amazing things with the Kansas City Chiefs as well before they moved over to Patrick Mahomes. Alex Smith took them to new heights, but he got hurt. I think it was a calf injury. He gets hurt in the game, has to leave, and this is the same injury. This is the calf is on the same leg that he got hit, that he took that crazy injury 2 years ago that almost ended his life. So they got to be really careful with that. When they inserted Dwayne Haskins, and Dwayne Haskins, he didn't look bad, but he didn't look great either. So they're not going to score with Dwayne Haskins, and they're not going to score a lot of points on the offensive side of the ball. So you're gonna hope, and one of the reasons why they won against the 49ers on Sunday was because of what the defense was doing, getting those scores on that side of the ball. So they're gonna have to rely heavily on the defense, with Alex Smith possibly being out for a little bit. So that as far as that goes, if that's going to continue to be a factor for Washington, maybe the Giants could still be in it. They just got to rack up a win or two. But it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, the loss this week kind of puts them in a tough situation. And like we talked about Daniel Jones being out. So the odds are maybe stacked against them right now, but you just got to kind of hope for the best in this kind of situation. You see how the week goes with some treatment. Hopefully Daniel Jones maybe gets better. But like you said, Washington looks like they're kind of in the lead right now. But anything can happen, just like how Daniel Jones messed up his hamstring. So anything can happen. So like they still have a chance, but I think Washington is kind of in the lead right now with the win they got this weekend.
Absolutely, they're in the driver's seat. They got the momentum. I will say this though, as we segue a little bit, they have the easier schedule, and I'm gonna look up their schedule again just to see. I know they're gonna play the Eagles, so Jalen Hurts got his first start over the weekend for the Eagles. They benched Carson Wentz. And it was a jolt. It was a jolt for the Eagles. That offense looked better. The defense looked better. The Saints had the number 1 defense in the league, and the Eagles scored on them and were able to get a win over the Saints. Like it's looking about a week or two ago when if you asked me about the Washington football team playing the Eagles, I'm saying that the Washington football team is definitely going to win. The way the Eagles looked on Sunday, I don't know about that now.
Yeah, I think it was kind of crazy because I guess we talked about it on here. Like Carson Wentz was kind of like they decided to make the change, and then the team kind of like you said went out there and played crazy this week. So it was like maybe they were just tired of him, or they didn't want him on the team or no more or anything like that. You know, sometimes when teams change coaches and they just start to play better, it could be like a case like that. But that's just funny to see that they kind of went out there and just kind of played so great, like a whole different team. So it's one of those things where it's like, can they keep it up, or it was just like one of those games where it's like, you know, you got like a new, like you said, new burst of energy, and you guys just play well.
Well, if they keep it up, Carson Wentz's future in Philadelphia is for sure over. It's looking very murky right now. We've heard the rumors.
I think it's over already.
Yeah, no, it's very likely it's over. I don't know if it's fair that we declare it over yet, especially after one game. But it's very likely it's over. But I mean, we've heard the rumors that, you know, he really just doesn't buy into what Doug Peterson is doing over there. This is a guy that almost won an MVP a couple years ago, the year they ended up winning the Super Bowl. And he plays a lot of hero ball, and it seems like he just kind of doesn't do a lot of what Doug Peterson is trying to get done over there. And from what it sounds like, he has a lot of control in the organization. So for a while, he seemed safe to just do whatever he wanted. But, you know, we saw what Doug Peterson was able to do with Foles. And then we get a chance to see a new quarterback in there in Jalen Hurts. And again, it's a whole different story. So clearly, we got a couple sample sizes here where it's Doug Peterson isn't the problem. And we're seeing every time, this is two different times now, two other quarterbacks besides Wentz go in there, and the team just looks better because they're executing the offensive game plan. So if it continues to look like that, they gotta try and trade this guy.
Like I said,
it's going to be hard because he's got a big contract.
I think they should try to trade him now. I think, like you said, everything you just said, and
he's got to ride that bench. He's got to ride that bench. You can't get that trade off right now. Season's almost over.
Yeah, well, like they need to try to. He's gonna, like you said, he's gonna have to ride the bench the rest of the year. But they need to try to get rid of him at this point. Like you said, everything, it seems like he doesn't fit with the offense, what the coach is trying to run. If that's the case, you have to get rid of the coach and get rid of him. And like you said, they put other quarterbacks in there. Other quarterbacks seem to be following what the coach says and things working out for them. So I think it's just over for him there. I think now, unless he's gonna sitting down and watching the rookie come in and makes him think like, okay, I really need to change what I'm doing and get with the game plan. But even still, you have a younger quarterback who kind of looks like he can take over this team. I think the writing's kind of on the wall for him anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. If I'm a betting man, I would say that he'll be out of there some way, somehow. They might have to take a little less to move him with how he's looked the last couple of years. But I also think, because I think they said it on First Take, there's probably a fear in Philly too, and why they kept him around for so long is that because there's talent there. We saw what he looked like a couple years ago. Again, the guy almost won an MVP before he went down to injury. He was looking phenomenal. So we know that there's talent there. But I think the Eagles are scared that he's going to end up somewhere else and flourish. And it's like, damn, we had that guy.
But that happens in a lot of cases. I think a lot of teams kind of get scared like that. But sometimes it doesn't work there. You kind of have to get rid of him. Because, I mean, maybe eventually he would have fit with you guys, but you probably would have to change a couple things around, like the coach or whatever the case may be. If you have a young quarterback, it seems like he's going to take off. I think if Jalen Hurts ends up being that quarterback for them, I don't think they should. You only can play one quarterback. So I don't think they should be worried about what the other quarterback is kind of doing. But if Jalen Hurts ends up not being that quarterback for them, then it may sting if he goes somewhere else and works out. But then it's going to be a big what if, because he could have stayed with you and not worked out. So it's like, who knows? So it's kind of one of those things where maybe in some places people just do better.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I definitely hear. I don't know if you saw this, by the way, when Jalen Hurts first got inserted. It was against the Green Bay Packers. He came into a game, and they had this graphic up. It's like him when he's coming into the game, and then Mike Vick the first time he came in to take over at quarterback when he was in Philadelphia. Same score, same team. It ended up being the same result, but like. They both did similar things. That's pretty ironic.
Yeah, that's pretty ironic, and I guess funny to see. I mean, if things turned out for him kind of like how it turned out for Mike Vick, then that's great. But I think that's just like one of those crazy coincidence things.
Yeah. So Sunday Night Football too. We had the Steelers against the Bills, an AFC matchup. Bills end up going up there. Josh Allen deserves some praise. He's the development on him is definitely clearly there. It's been seen from last year, especially to this year now too. He was coming out the draft. He was a guy with a big arm with accuracy issues, and exactly how's he going to see the things that are coming up on the field. And he's definitely put those down, those talks away with how he's been playing. Now he still makes his mistakes, but the improvement has definitely been seen from him. And I mean, Stephon Diggs, he lit up the Steelers. But this is the Steelers' second loss in a row. Roethlisberger didn't look that great. The wide receiver core for the Steelers definitely didn't look that great. But I mean, like, it's not shocking to me that this is the way that they're looking right now. One, because they played 4 games in 19 days. Usually you play 4 games in 28 days, so the rest hasn't been there, right? But on the other end of it, when they were undefeated, we weren't really talking about them like that. Nobody was really impressed with what the Steelers were doing. It's just like, all right, they're playing good football, but are you going to pick them to win a championship? And honestly, I'm not. They could go out first round. They could even lose the division. There's still time for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, even when I seen a first take, and even a lot of people, like, even though they were undefeated, like you said, a lot of people wasn't picking them still to win a Super Bowl. A lot of people think that they weren't better than the Kansas City, the Chiefs. So it was kind of like, yeah, they're having a good season and things like that, but people didn't believe that they're going to win a Super Bowl. So I think I said on here before that it's good that they took a loss and kind of going into the playoffs undefeated might have been more pressure. But I kind of expected this. I think I said they were going to end up losing like 1 or 2 games before the playoffs kind of started. You just hope that kind of doesn't snowball into them, maybe not playing as well in the first round. But I think as maybe surprising as it would be, again, it wouldn't be that surprising if they kind of lost in the first round because people didn't believe in them like they were the Kansas City Chiefs. So it was kind of like they were having a good season, but people were like, they could still lose. So I think it's not that surprising.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I definitely hear you. We only got a couple games left in this season, too. So to see what they can kind of muster up is going to be something to watch. They haven't exactly looked like the Steelers of old either, as far as like that tough-nosed football play, really, really committing to the run and stuff like that. We haven't seen it. But I mean, Big Ben's old. He's older. That quarterback class, that 04 quarterback class, Eli's gone. Phillip Rivers is he's playing all right now, but he didn't look that great last year with the excuse me, I keep calling them San Diego. I can't get over that. The Los Angeles Chargers. That quarterback class has been great. Because they're older. So and it just shows.
Yeah, I think also Big Ben has dealt with a lot of injuries, so you got to take that into account too, all the hits he's taken, all the injuries he's had. I think he's coming off injury from last year, so all those things considered, he's older, he's had a couple injuries, so it's about time where the still words from Max Kellerman, it's time for him to kind of start falling off that cliff.
Right. So they said they want basketball and they will get it. KD and Kyrie Irving are back. They made their debuts for the Brooklyn Nets. I had been saying after he tore his Achilles, I expected him to actually come back the same way Dominique Wilkins came back. He's not going to be the same player, but he's still going to be pretty good. And that's exactly what he was in the limited time that he played. Kyrie looked pretty good as well. And the Nets are going to be a force. So I know Kayson's got them coming out the East. I think that they should come out the East. We'll see how things shape up. And they look good in all facets. I think something that was interesting to me is the talk I heard from the Nets organization. Karis LeVert, we all know how good Karis LeVert is. We even came on here after they lost that first round series and said, that's your big three, KD, Kyrie, and Karis LeVert. Steve Nash right now is talking about Karis LeVert possibly coming off the bench. And when I saw the headline, I'm like, well, that's a little crazy, knowing how good he is. He said he's got to play that Manu Ginobili role. But when I actually heard what he was talking about, it made a little more sense to me, even though I still don't agree with it just because of the player that he is. But it made a little more sense. And he's talking about he needs that ball in his hands to really shine. And he's playing with KD and Kyrie Irving. So maybe it would be better for him and the team if he was leading the bench unit.
Yeah, I agree. I tweeted like 2 weeks ago and asked, should the Nets consider bringing him off the bench? I think it's kind of the best move for him. Kind of everything Steve Nash said, and especially Dinwiddie being able to shoot and space the floor kind of maybe fits better with KD and Kyrie. Like he said, Karis LeVert needs the ball. He's kind of that type of player. I mean, clearly probably towards the end of the game you want to have all those guys out there together, but I think he'll be able to shine more, like kind of like Steve Nash said, off the bench with the bench unit. He can just get the ball and have the ball in his hand. He doesn't have to worry about KD or Kyrie too much. And that allows maybe Steve Nash to not have to stagger, whatever, I can't say it right now, but stagger KD and Kyrie's minutes, so that you don't have to have them both on the floor, one of them on the floor at all times. You can kind of sit both of them at the same time and then put Karis LeVert in the game, and then he can still take over the offense. Because you think about it, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris are the Taurean Prince. That's the same guys they had playing last year that kind of helped them get to the playoffs and play well in the playoffs. So you put those guys on the bench, yeah, it gives KD and Kyrie more rest. You don't have to have one of those guys on the floor all times, and just lets the team be more versatile than before. I think bringing him off the bench is kind of the right thing to do.
Yeah, again, I could see it. We'll see how things kind of go out there and develop for him. John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins made their long-awaited debuts for the Houston Rockets. We haven't seen John Wall play basketball in 2 years. DeMarcus Cousins for almost a year now with his back-to-back injuries and everything. And I gotta say, it's preseason basketball, but they look good. They look pretty good, man. I'm still on that thing. We don't know what's gonna happen with Harden. I think the Houston Rockets are going to try to sell their fan base on these guys moving forward.
It's worth a try, and the way they looked, like, I guess the question with them was always, as long as they're healthy, they look healthy, but it's only been 2 games, and it's been 2 preseason games at that. Once the season starts, the teams people kind of ramp it up a little more. So, I mean, they look good, they look healthy, they can stay healthy, they got something. I think if they stay healthy and Harden kind of buys in, I think they got a chance a little bit. They look nice. DeMarcus Cousins is able to space the floor and things like that. Wall looks like he's just as fast as he was, maybe not as fast as he was before, but he looks like he still has his quick first step. So I think they maybe got something there. You had PJ Tucker in because PJ Tucker hasn't played, and they got something there. I think I guess the reports is Harden still wants to leave, but if Harden decides to stay, I think that could be a team you might have to watch out for.
It's over. You got to move on from him. He doesn't want to be there. The reports came out again that even after seeing how John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins looked, he still wants out. You don't have to trade him, but you got to trade him. You should trade him. It's just not going to be a good situation for anyone involved moving forward, because that's all that's going to be talked about the whole season. Nobody's going to be able to focus on the goal for the season. And I mean, with that said, he brought out his preferred trade destinations, but more from the major reports, it was just Philly and Brooklyn. But now the big time reporters came out with more, and Miami and Milwaukee are also in that conversation. I want to give a shout out to was it 5 Reasons Sports?
Yeah, the one down here.
Yeah, the guy at Clutch Adam, he had actually tweeted this in mid-November that Miami and Milwaukee were also like involved in where the markets that he would also like to play in. So I got to give him his flowers, because I know nobody really, a lot of the mainstream or a lot of the masses didn't pay that any mind until like a Woj or a Shams went and said something. But he was definitely the first on that. So I mean, we talked about Brooklyn, we talked a little bit about Philly. I could like him in Miami just off the fact of he's playing for an organization that gets the best set of guys, and you got to shape up when you're playing over there. And he's never been in a situation like that where he's going to have to be in shape every time he plays and play at a whole different level where they expect excellence from you. So I think Miami could be good for him. Milwaukee, I think, could be good for him too, but we know that him and Giannis have had a little beef over the last 2 years as far as them competing with each other in the MVP race. So I just kind of want to see how that would go. But I could like that with him too.
I like with Milwaukee, like you said, it'll be interesting just with their little beef. I'm surprised he even put them on his list. I mean, I guess sure, like they've been the number 1 seed in the East the last couple of years, but I think that might just be some smoke and mirrors. I think he's just trying to add the list up a little bit. I seen Woj say earlier that he's just trying to. He came in and talked to the Rockets and said that he's gonna try to do his best to help them be able to facilitate a trade. So if he's not kind of buying into things, it's gonna be hard for them to trade him. So he's kind of in there like, I'm gonna go and do whatever. And he had to expand his list out too, because with just the Nets, it kind of gives the Nets the leverage there a little bit. So it'd be interesting with Milwaukee. I don't think it's gonna happen. Miami, like you said, it'd be a great option too, but we kind of know Harden, and I think it'll be kind of tough for him over there. Like, yes, he's never had nothing like that, but the question then is, would he be able to deal with something like that? And Pat Riley kind of doesn't play over there, so and then. Like, just their system in general. Harden doesn't... I guess he's been a lot better on defense the last couple of years, but he doesn't play as hard there. He kind of... The Heat like to move the ball. James Harden kind of likes to hold the ball a little more. So it'll be interesting. I said it on here before. Call me biased or whatever. I think the Nets is the best option. And if you think about how good we were talking about John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins look, you think about you add Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Taurean Prince, Jared Allen. You add those around those guys, they got a solid team over there still. So it kind of makes maybe those pieces look a little better because you're not really counting on them to be superstars. You get a whole bunch of picks, and then I think that team is still a solid team. So I'm going to stick with the Nets. That's going to be where I think that's where he really wants to go there. It has to be the best option.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, I still have my questions about how that's going to go when you got 3 ball stoppers on the same team in the starting lineup, because he's not coming off the bench. None of those guys are coming off the bench. So I would like to see how that would work. But, I mean, as far as they have the talent, they have an immense amount of talent where they should, regardless of those issues, they still should get to the NBA Finals.
I think I talked about it too. KD is one of the most maybe unselfish players ever. He can kind of fit in. He doesn't need too much touches. He doesn't need the ball too much. So I think KD, it's going to be interesting with Kyrie because he has the ball in his hand a lot. But I think KD, since KD's the one who really wants Harden there, he's going to be the one. I mean, he's the best player too. So they kind of got to go as he goes. I think he's going to be the one to sacrifice a little more, especially coming from Golden State. He can get 30 points on 15 shots or whatever he needs to do. And he's still coming back from injury. So he doesn't want to be out there trying to be the main guy right now. I mean, he looked good in the couple games, but he looked a little slower. He still got to get in rhythm a little bit, maybe more NBA shape. So I think as the season's going on, he's probably going to want to take a couple games off too. I think he'll be more willing to kind of let Harden be Harden while he maybe chill a little bit, so he doesn't have to come back off this injury and be that main guy again.
Yeah, for sure. Again, when I think of that, I know I said 3 ball stoppers, but I definitely think more. And KD, he can have the ball less in his hands, but he does do a lot of his best work with the ball in his hands. But I think more of that with him and Kyrie, especially playing in the backcourt together. I really question how that's going to work out. We got a question here from Might Eat Fresh. Who's y'all Rookie of the Year predictions? LaMelo Ball is running away with that award. Call it. Put it out there now. He's running away with that award.
I haven't really seen James Wiseman, but yeah, I think LaMelo Ball is the guy right now. I thought he'll probably get it before. And the crazy thing is, he's probably not going to do too much scoring. He's going to have the most hype around him, just everything that's happened with him before he came into the league. And then the way he's able to pass the ball and bring the excitement to the game, I think he's definitely going to have the most hype around him. I think they should actually insert him into that starting lineup, but I guess that's another conversation. I think with Anthony Edwards over there, he's going to be the third option behind Cat and D'Lo over there. Wiseman has an opportunity, especially with Clay going down, but I think LaMelo Ball, with the ball being in his hand, and just the excitement that he's going to bring, because sometimes some of this stuff is that like the hype behind it. So I think the excitement he's going to bring with it is definitely probably get him it.
And he's doing it now. We already seeing it in preseason with the stuff he's doing, the highlights, the no-look passes. He's shooting threes, looking back at the Raptors bench and things like that. Like, he's already doing it now. I think it should be no question, too. That's your starting point guard. Terry Rozier, I never thought was a starting point guard. I thought he's a solid guy that can do work for you off the bench, maybe be in your closing lineup. But, he's a lot like a Reggie Jackson to me. So the LaMelo Ball, no question, should be their starting point guard. And remember we said it. He's going to run away with the Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah, I think I'll be starting over there too. I think the Devontae Graham is starting at the one for them. I think you can bring him off.
No, he's going to be at the 2.
Who?
Devontae Graham?
I'd bring him off the bench.
You would?
I'd bring him off the bench, yeah.
So who's your starting two?
Terry Rozier.
No.
Terry Rozier's not coming. He's not coming off the bench over there. So that's not going to happen.
He needs to get out of that ego. Terry Rozier has not accomplished anything to be demanding that he's a starter. I know he was talking real spicy when he was getting ready to get out of Boston, but he has not done anything to solidify himself as a starter. Devontae Graham was the show in Charlotte last year. That's a tandem I'd like to see, and the resume is there in a season alone. Terry Rozier in Charlotte has not shown you that he should be starting over either of those two guys.
I think Devontae Graham was putting on the show, and I think he'll put on more of a show coming off the bench. You think? I mean, I guess it could go either way. I think I would bring Devontae.
Playing with a selfish player in LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, and that'll work out for Terry Rozier too.
It'll work out for Terry Rozier if he's leading the bench units because he doesn't got to worry about sharing it with those two.
I would rather have that firepower of Devontae Graham coming off my bench.
Okay, if you say so.
And then also, like I said, Terry Rozier's not going to want to come off the bench. So that's going to cause another issue. So unless you're trying to trade Terry Rozier.
Get out. Bye. Again, it's the same thing we took last time. Okay, we don't need you. The Charlotte Hornets do not need Terry Rozier.
So and then, I mean, you boost his value. You let him start, play well, and get rid of him. Devontae Graham just started by the end of the year anyway.
He'll play okay.
I think Devontae. I guess Devontae Graham's a better shooter, but with LaMelo Ball setting up Terry Rozier and then Gordon Hayward out there too, I think it could work out. I think Devontae Graham looks like a 6-man. He can get it done. I think he should be going for that 6-man of the year award.
Yeah, if he has to, sure, why not? But no. Defensive player of the year. I think Anthony Davis is getting that. He's definitely wasn't happy that he missed out on it last year. He was leading the Lakers to be the best defensive team in the league a year ago. He's got the incentive to do it, and I think he's going to get that this time around.
Yep. With the storyline too, like I said, kind of like you said, he led the number one defense last year. He didn't get it. He was kind of maybe robbed of the award a little bit. So he probably definitely come out there and kind of want to go get it. So I think AD is the leading favorite now, but I don't think they give it to Giannis again. Gobert has the opportunity to get it, but I think right now it's AD. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I didn't really have anything else. So I guess I don't know if we got any resident Knicks fans in here.
I gotta go on a tangent again. I'm going on a tangent like I did last week. All right, I'm going on a rant. All right, so Paul George signed that.
He did. Yes.
Paul George signed that max deal. He signed a max contract to stay with the Clippers. And I've been hearing, all right, he didn't deserve it. He doesn't show up in the playoffs. I'm coming to dismiss this rumor that he doesn't show up in the playoffs. Last year, this year in the bubble, nobody can vouch for him. But let's really break it down. All right, Paul George, when he first came into the league, Danny Granger was really the main offense, whatever. So before he got hurt, did anyone say he wasn't showing up in the playoffs?
Yes.
No. Yes. Indiana years, nobody said he didn't show up in the playoffs.
Yes.
In what series?
Cleveland. They weren't favored, but
that was after he got hurt.
So what? He was healthy. This is a couple years later.
We're taking it. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Before he got hurt, when the Indiana teams, did anyone say he didn't show up in the playoffs? When he was going at the Heat and LeBron.
We live in the present time, not the past. We have a very good sample size that says he does not show up in the playoffs. You're in Oklahoma City Thunder.
And that's where we're going to get to that. Before he got hurt, when he's going up against LeBron and the Heat, no one said he didn't show up in the playoffs. So, all right, let's get to after he came back from being hurt. They played the Raptors in the first round. They didn't win and went 7. The team really wasn't that good. I wouldn't say he didn't show up. He played a pretty good series that year. Now you go on to the next year. You go to Cleveland. I mean, they got swept. But did you say he didn't show up? In what sense did he not show up?
In the words of my man Stephen A. Smith, you couldn't get one game? One game? You couldn't get one game?
That's
one game.
That's a lot of people. So you saying Bron didn't show up in that finals? They ain't get one game. Stephen A. said the same thing about him.
You couldn't get one game?
He said the same thing about him.
They should have got the first game.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. We're not getting into that. Did they win? No, they got swept. So they did win one with Kyrie. All right, so they got swept. He said the same thing about him. Would you say Bron didn't show up?
He needed to do more.
That's different than not showing up.
He needed to do more.
No, that's different than not showing up. Like not showing up is that you didn't come. If you need like doing more, it's like, all right, I did all I can, but maybe I could have did more. Not showing up is like you ain't do nothing.
Yeah, let's get to Oklahoma City because I have a lot to say about Oklahoma City.
All right,
I know you're gonna bring up. I know you're gonna bring up the shoulder injuries. No, I got something for.
We're gonna start off with the first series against Utah. I don't know if a lot of people remember that series. From game 1 to game 5, Paul George was the best player on the Thunder. Nobody's telling me otherwise. He played better than Russ. He plays the best player on the Thunder. Look at the stats. He was shooting like 43% from the field. He was averaging like 28 points. He was the best player on the Thunder. Tell me not. Stats back.
Where was Paul George games? Because a lot of people were killing Russell Westbrook after they lost that series. But let's go back to game 6. Russell Westbrook took a lot of shots. Yes. You know what else he did? He dished the ball out a lot of times. And for reasons I still don't understand to this day, Paul George and Carmelo Anthony did not want that ball in their hands. They kept throwing it right back. So yes, he did not show up.
He did not show up in game 6, but you have to talk about there was 6 games in that series. From game 1 to game 5.
Ain't that the year he named himself Playoff P?
Yeah, and he was playing good until game 6. He didn't show up in game 6. But if you look at the stats, you watch the series and look at the stats. From game 1 to game 5, Paul George was the best player on the Thunder. He played better than Russ. Russ wasn't playing good. He played better than Melo. He was the best player on the Thunder. And if you think if those two guys play better, they might have been out. If Russ plays like he played in game 5 and game 6, in game 1, 2, 3, 4, they would have been up in the series. So I can't put that blame on Paul George. Yes, he didn't show up in game 6, and maybe you say he played good in game 6, but he had one off game. When you carrying people for 6 games, you might have an off game.
I remember it a lot differently from you. I still don't understand why he didn't even want the ball in his hands.
That's one game. We're talking about the series. That's one game.
Why? It's an elimination game. That's when you're supposed to show up. That's why Kawhi got killed when they blew the 7-game series against the Nuggets, because he didn't do what you're supposed to do when you're that guy for a team. He didn't even want the ball in his hands.
Technically, that guy was Russ, so PG was kind of like the second guy there. But
he still did. Even as the second guy, you can't ignore that. He didn't even want the ball in his hands. He kept dishing it right back. He had a couple open, and I get granted that was a foul at the end of that game. I'll give you that, but still, you should have. It goes back to doing more.
That was one game. We're talking about the whole series. He did not show up in the last game, but he showed up every other game before that.
I already know what you're going to bring up for the next year, shoulders.
The next year, he was hurt. He had 2 hurt shoulders. You can't not, like, he wasn't even supposed to be out there. He said before game 1 he couldn't lift the basketball right before that. What do you want a guy to do? And also, he played good in that game 5. That elimination game, he played great.
I'm seeing you and a couple other people talking about he's allowed a game. The problem with that is that him being allowed a game seems to happen every year.
Yeah, no.
How?
Name which years.
I just gave you one.
That's one. That Jazz series.
How many off games you want to talk about this year?
I told you this year he did not play good. But people talk about he never shows up in the playoffs. That's not true.
I didn't say never. Paul George pre-injury was nice. That Indiana, the Indiana Pacers in 2014 should have went to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, that's why I said.
That was malpractice on the coaching end, taking Roy Hibbert out that game to just allow LeBron to go up for right up the hole for an easy score. The Indiana Pacers should have went to the NBA Finals in 2014.
That was my beginning point. Before he got hurt, there's never said that he didn't show up in the playoffs. Then he comes back.
Lately, lately he's been an issue for the teams he's been on. Last 3 years, it has not been pretty for Paul George.
Not true. This year, yes. The Jazz series, I'm not giving you. I'm not giving you the Jazz series. And
I can't. You are not allowed. You can never live up the fact that Game 6 it's an elimination game. You got to step up. He didn't even want the ball in his hands. Why? I genuinely want the answers to that. Why didn't you want the ball in your hands?
Russ was going off. Give the guy the ball.
He like threw Russ under the bus in that game because he didn't want to shoot. Russ was lit, and you were on my side with this when we talked about this at the time.
Yes.
But Russ was giving him opportunity, good looks, and he just kept giving the ball right back.
It wasn't his night, and he knew it. And he passed the ball to the guy that was hot.
Shooters shoot.
That's one game. I'm not giving you the Jazz series. Against Portland, she had bad shoulders. He showed up in the Game 5. If that's the case, an elimination, you can't take
that was bad defense on his part too. Knowing the type of range Dame has, you really just gonna give him all that open space. Knowing the history he has making shots like that.
I agree with Paul George. It's a bad shot. It's a bad shot.
Yeah, you were too biased.
If someone shoots he shot the ball from half court. That's a bad shot. It went in, but that's a bad shot.
Damian Lillard is not the first time Damian Lillard has shot that shot and made it. It's not even the first time he's done that in a playoff moment, and in that he did the same exact thing to the Houston Rockets.
That was not from half court. That wasn't from half court. It was nowhere near half court. That was a regular 3-pointer. That was coming.
It was a big time shot. Knowing the range that Dame has, you should have been crowding him.
If they had another game and Dame shoots it from half court, you're gonna guard. Well, obviously you got to guard him a little bit, but like he got a contest on the shot. He's shooting it from half court. He's shooting the ball from half court. I don't know. It's a bad shot. He's a bad shot maker, but it's a bad shot.
You guys think it was a shot.
If you were coaching, I guess that's a little different. If I'm coaching Dame, as much of a shot maker he is, I don't want him to shoot no damn shot from half court for the win.
The Brooklyn Nets this season when they were playing the Blazers too. I forgot who brought it up to one of the younger guys. Like if Damian Lillard has the ball, you better pick him up.
I don't recall. I mean, I'm taking my chances. Honestly, if I'm a betting man, I'm letting him shoot that shot again from half court. And the game's on the line.
Dame's got range. Dame's got range.
Dame be folded in the playoffs, so he shot it from half court. I would take my chances with that. He's shooting the ball from half court.
You say so.
And by your logic, technically, Paul George played great in that game 5. So technically, that means he played good in that series.
Technically. Your words, not mine.
No, because you're saying he showed up in the elimination game. You're saying that's what matters. So technically, everything else before that doesn't matter. So he played good at that. He played good in that series.
Okay.
He gave up. He contested it too. He contested a half court shot. The guy made it. You tip your hat to him. But I'm letting him shoot it again.
I disagree.
It's a bad shot.
I disagree.
It's a bad shot.
I disagree.
So, all right, he had 2 bad shoulders. You can't knock him for that. So that one's in the middle. That one's a tie. Utah, he played good. I'm not giving you that one. And last year he played bad. But if you take his overall playoff history, he has not played bad in the playoffs.
I got nothing for you. I disagree with you completely. I can't believe you don't even want to address that game 6.
I addressed it. He played bad.
You threw me a cop out.
He played bad, but we talking about the overall series. The overall series.
I didn't think he played that great that overall series. I'm actually gonna go rewatch that after we get off of this.
You gotta watch it. He was the only one who showed up in Utah. Game 5, really, Russ showed up and he kind of followed along, but he played good in Game 5. He didn't have one bad game, maybe Game 2. The end of Game 2, everyone played bad. They went like 0 for something in the fourth quarter. Everyone played bad at the end of Game 2. But he was he's not as bad as a player in the playoffs as people think. So give the guy his credit.
Well, the entire Clippers team needs to show something this season because we were all hoping for a Western Conference Finals between them and the Clippers, and they faltered against the Nuggets, who are just going to continuously get better because that's a very talented young team. So they not just him, Kawhi Leonard, and the rest of them all got something to prove this season.
Yeah, for sure. I still kind of believe in them a little bit. It's gonna be tough to beat the Lakers out west, but we'll just kind of, yeah, they got a lot to prove, and that they're gonna be motivated. So that'll be good. He says he's back with his trainer, who he was with his almost MVP season, and he says he's feeling good. So he got the trainer. He
said he's on people's heads.
Huh?
He said he's on people's heads.
Oh yeah, he's coming for people. I mean, I don't know if I believe in him that much, but like, he said he's feeling good. He's back with his old trainer, so. Yeah, I mean, they got a chance. I can still see them knock. I guess that's kind of tough to say. It's going to be tough to knock out the Lakers, but they still got a chance.
I think the Lakers are good enough to three-peat.
No. If the Nets don't get them this year, the Nets are getting them next year.
We'll see.
If the Nets don't get them this year, the Nets are getting them next year.
Remember, we had this conversation for when the season goes down.
Yeah, the Nets are pretty deep too. If you look at their roster, all the players I just named too, it all comes down to how healthy KD's gonna be. If KD's
gonna be fine, we know that him and Kyrie aren't gonna be playing the full season. Steve Nash has come out and said that the NBA went and laxed their rules on resting and whatnot. So they'll be fine, but I gotta see a little more from them. What? And the fact that the Lakers won a title and then got better, that speaks to me. That says something.
What is today's date? December 12th.
15th.
December 15th. Oh God, December 15th at 9:27. If KD's KD, I think the Nets are winning the championship. They beating the Lakers
this year.
Yes.
All right, we gotta archive this.
Put it on the tape. Put it on.
Taking the Lake.
Do what you gotta do. I'm taking the Nets, and if they don't get them this year, they'll get them next year.
No more unfair advantage unless they trade for another star. They're not going to walk through the East.
Yeah, they're gonna get them this year.
All right, we'll remember this. Gonna edit it into. We'll have it in like black and white and everything. It'll replay. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, and when I guess COVID and stuff is over, if COVID is over by the time, and they're having that parade down Brooklyn Ave or whatever, you better not be there. You're not invited. You are not invited to the parade. You gotta watch with the Knicks fans back at home.
There's gonna be Knicks fans there, man. Knicks fans are fronting. They're saying that they don't want no parts of that, but they'll be there.
Yeah, they're gonna go there just to hate on the low. You know how people come to places just to hate on the low and throw shade.
Yeah,
I know Shator know what I'm talking about. Yeah, yeah, they can just Knicks fans. Shad gonna be there with glasses on.
Shout out Rashad. Shout out my guy Mosby. They'll be there. They say they won't, but they'll be there.
And they gonna have on a whole bunch of Knicks gear, like someone care. Still trying to rep the Knicks. I'm talking about we gonna get them next year.
Don't do that, Shatora.
She know what I'm talking about. Knicks fans gonna show up just to throw some shade.
We come from families of Knicks fans. We know what we're talking about.
I'm taking the Nets. Nets 2021. And matter of fact, since we're on the topic, I'm still riding with my guy Wiggins. Wiggins 2021. The Warriors are gonna get the 5th seed. And
wait, you said something about the Knicks a couple weeks ago too, to go along with Wiggins 2021. Do you still stand by that?
What did I say?
I can't remember. You said something that was clearly the troll. You said the Knicks was gonna make some noise, I think.
I don't know if I said all that. The Knicks aren't as bad. I think they're gonna be all right. You know what? Mad people make the playoffs because there's 10 seeds that make the playoffs. Like mad people, the Knicks.
It's 1 through 8, both sides. With a chance to get in with the last 2 seeds, I believe. You think the Knicks are gonna? I don't think the Knicks are gonna be in that conversation. And watching their preseason games so far, they still seem like they have the same exact problems from a year ago. Even though I like how Obi Toppin looks, I actually like the way him and Kevin Knox look together. R.J. Barrett looks like he's improving, but you as a team, you're still not good from the perimeter. You apparently have issues shooting at the foul line, and you don't have a point guard.
What happened to Frank? I thought you said Frank was their point guard.
Nah, it doesn't look that way.
I told you. I told you that a few weeks ago.
Dennis Smith Jr. might be out of that rotation, man.
Probably a lot. I seen someone say that he doesn't look good. He doesn't look confident. People don't believe in Dennis Smith.
He might be a broken player.
I mean, what do you expect? He plays for the Knicks.
You don't have to do that. You're trying to be a beat writer. This is stuff that's going to come up one day.
Well, I could be a columnist too. I can give my opinion.
Hear you.
So, yeah, shout out to the Knicks. Hopefully, y'all do something this year. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I got for the Knicks. I'm not gonna go off on the Knicks this year. I mean, right now. Shout out to the Knicks and all the Knicks fans.
Hopefully, things work out for you guys.
Right. Hopefully.
Well, that's our show for this week. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. Got an interview coming up. Got more pieces coming up for you guys. If you guys are wrestling fans, not pro wrestling, but wrestling fans, we got a new piece out on the blog section on our website with the NCAA season coming up. So definitely check that out. We'll be posting more stuff as the NBA season gets ready to come in here too. Maybe we even get in our NFL bag a little bit. But again, we got some more interviews coming up for you guys pretty soon. Be sure to stay tuned in.
Nets 2020-21. And also like, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to everyone that's in here. Shout out to everyone that left. See y'all later.
Definitely appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys next time.